Okay, thank you very much. Welcome to this morning to Studio 84 here on Lithuli Avenue in Bugolobi, Kampala, Uganda. And this morning we are honored to host a man that needs no introduction. We just gave him a tour of the studio, and I'm sure he'll give us feedback this morning. He has a wealth of experience in this space. I'm sure he has a lot of feedback for us. Try and keep it positive. The negative shall not be on air. Muhereza Kyamutetera, the man commonly known as Cham. He needs no introduction in this city. Cham, you're very welcome to Studio 84.
Thank you, Solomon. Thank you for the invite.
Yes.
Great.
Okay, how have you found Studio 84? When I told you this thing is happening, I know we had discussed this space a while ago. A few days ago, I told you it's here now. How have you found it versus your expectations?
Okay, cool. Of course, for starters, when I saw you doing this on this, and then in the intro video somewhere, I saw Boaz's nose like in the corner, and I know, of course, Boaz has been at this for a long time. He's one of the best guys in this audiovisual business.
Yeah.
So I felt that the combination of those two would certainly do great stuff.
Yeah.
So, and of course, I've been here before, but a long time ago before COVID, but looking for different things. So I didn't find a problem finding it. Of course, also the fact that it's on Ruthuri Avenue, everybody knows Ruthuri. Those who don't, at least they know Bandari Rise. Yeah.
Cham, it had to be Bandari Rise.
And the fact that it's by the roadside is easy to find, so that should actually make it easy.
Yeah.
Of course, I've liked everything I see here. I think you've taken quite some time to invest in the right equipment.
Yeah.
And I think it's timely given the trends where the industry is going, because I think the demand for 360-degree, multimedia content is real. I know of many people who have decided to invest all their lives in creating content.
Yes.
But of course, we know that the entry point, and again, speaking from experience, the biggest entry barrier has been, the cost of equipment, and most of the people out there are also renting. They don't even have enough space in their homes.
Yes.
Some have mobile offices.
Yes.
So I think having an independent place where people can come, do their content, and go, I think it's a welcome addition. I'm yet to find out the rate card, but certainly I think what I'm seeing is good.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Cham. So I know you need no introduction, but Cham, different people know you for different things. So let's be clear. Yeah. How do you like to be known? As in, how would you like to be known? What's your background in the media world? And yes, you tell us.
Okay, you said today we are not talking about good things.
Only good things.
I shall not say the bad things about me. I also let people discover them.
Yes.
Okay. I think I like to describe myself as somebody who is proudly Ugandaholic.
Yeah.
I love Uganda so much because Uganda is the only country I have. We have our problems, we have our weaknesses, but I think everybody has tried their best to try and fix this. I am a journalist because that was like my first cut straight out of university. I started writing, and up to date I'm still a journalist. And I run an online publication called CEO East Africa.
Yes.
It's exclusive business. We are not your popular, mass market, publication, but we reach the right people. Reach the right people, the decision makers. And we are 80-90% about business. Yeah. About business and the people who make it happen.
Yes.
We like to most times strictly keep it positive.
Yes.
And again, for the reason that for the little times I've run business, I've come to appreciate that even the best people with good intentions, sometimes things will go wrong.
Yes.
Now, we have a choice as a media to focus on the things that have gone wrong, but we also have a choice to focus on the right.
Yes.
And then also look at how do we correct the wrong. So that's kind of, and our business philosophy as a publication is every business is a story.
Yes.
And where I borrow this from is that having worked in the PR world and in the newsroom, I know the challenges that communications people have, the brands people have, trying to interest journalists in their story.
Yes.
You see, I know you've invested so much of time and money in the studio. and to you, this means everything to you.
Yes.
But you will have issues when you go to okay, I'll not mention the media house. Any media house that comes say there is something great is happening here.
Yeah.
You go to invite these guys to come and cover. Then the guys will be like, that's just a PR story. We can't cover it. That kind of lets you down. So we believe that every business, no matter how small it is a story. And where we can, of course, within our resource constraints, we try and give it a positive spin and try to encourage people. Because I know, even as a business person, sometimes you wake up and you don't really want to go to work because you think of the many issues you have to go and fix.
Yes.
But so any slight positive encouragement can actually be the reason why you go to work the next day, and probably will give you that breakthrough that you need.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you actually mentioned something that drives me to thinking that everyone these days has their own platform to tell their story.
Yeah.
Many years ago, around the time we both met Boaz, he said something that has never left my mind. He said, once upon a time, there was what's that box? That a suggestion box. Now there is Twitter and Facebook. I'll never forget that.
Yeah, I actually remember that also.
So now, the power, without mentioning media houses, I know some people, without mentioning names, who are number one accusers of the traditional media houses and how they have refused. I'm talking TV, I'm talking print, I'm talking everything, who have refused to find people where they are now. Everyone has a story. I was watching a documentary a while ago, and someone said, I think Paris Hilton started this Slay Queen influencer thing online, even before social media came, with magazines and all. So everyone has the power to tell their story. And I feel like that's where we come in with Studio 84, where anyone can come in and tell their story. You guys, Cham, I have to applaud you, because you're one of those people who are trained in traditional journalist schools, but you have adapted.
Actually, I didn't go to journalism school.
Oops!
I did social sciences.
No wonder.
I just showed up, started writing.
No wonder.
Yeah.
So, Cham,
Yes.
I also know you mentioned about you being pro-Uganda. I know you're quite patriotic at heart, even when you want to deny it sometimes, but your actions show. You have this whole, I think, executive travel magazine or something. First, tell us a bit about it.
Okay. Yes, of course. I think I forgot to talk about that. I think I like to travel as a person, and I've traveled, I think, much of Uganda, probably about 90% of it. And the more you travel around Uganda, you discover that there is a lot that needs to be told out there. The beauty out there is so insane. So I started, and I mean, having all these platforms, I started, trying to interest myself in trying to capture and telling the story about Uganda and how beautiful it is. And of course, during my time as a business reporter, one of the sectors I covered was the tourism industry, and I just realized that as Uganda, we are struggling with, trying to compete with the rest of the world in many things that we can't. For example, even up to now, I haven't gotten to terms to the fact that there are people who think Uganda can compete by going to India and importing all these IT equipment, and we come and set up BPOs here, and then we can compete with India. We simply can't. It sounds like it's a fashionable thing to do, but we just can't do it at scale because we don't have, and I mean, yes, we can do it, but can we do it at a competitive, basis?
Yes,
because almost all the inputs except the people are imported. And the same people from where we're importing these things, they're also doing the same stuff. Can we actually compete with them? Yet we have things where, and I remember my economics class, things they used to say the competitive advantage. What are those things you have at your disposal that allow you to compete, more efficiently and favorably.
Favorably, yes.
We have things like, Mount Rwenzori, we have the freshwater lake, we have things like the gorilla, where we are only one of 3 countries. We have about 53%. 25% of the country is fresh water. For those of you who have swum, in the oceans, you know how how terrible the experience of swimming. You know, the only thing about the oceans is just the blue waters. It's good to take pictures in, but swimming in it is very terrible. Yet we have here some very blue water, Lake Victoria. We have all this, so we are failing to leverage that competitive advantage.
Yeah.
You know, so I thought that maybe if we tried and told that story, because again, most people want to come to Uganda. Every time you go to Google and you put Uganda, the first page brings you nasty stuff. So I thought that by putting out more positive content, by creating more awareness about the great sports out there, maybe we will encourage more people to come to Uganda. We will encourage more Ugandans to travel. And of course, initially I started by doing it as a pro bono service.
Yes.
And I try to draft on other people who sometimes are actually paid by the government to do this job, but many of them were not interested in coming on board, you know, as partners. And this business is very expensive. Trying to go around promote Uganda is expensive. And until I spoke to one or two people in the industry, and they told me the only more sustainable way of doing this is try to make some money as you travel.
Yes.
So that's how I end up, you know, starting EDX Travel. And EDX stands for Executive Destinations and Experiences. So basically trying to look out for some of the best experiences out there and showcasing them to Ugandans. And in the business of trying to do that, then you also get to get the content. Because so then you get to travel, like we are traveling to, say, Islands tomorrow. And there's a client paying for that.
Yes.
So then in the process of being there, you can actually get to capture this content. It becomes cheaper. So then that's what we're trying to do.
Oh, very good stuff. Cham, I remember many years ago, I visited Bangkok and we did one of those tours. And one of the places they recommend to visit in Bangkok is the floating market.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to expect. I got there. I must say a part of me was disappointed, but I walked away with lessons. The floating market is this market on canoes, canoes side by side on a river. But to get there, you take a boat, a canoe with a locally assembled engine. The water is not blue. It's not clean. It's dirty. It's typical river water. Like River Easy.
Yeah.
Typical river water, but it is extremely popular. Buses and buses of tourists, they are there and they are using what they have. They are using what they have. So the need to embrace what we have and explore it, I think, is very, very important.
And, you know, I had a very interesting experience. In my life, and with all the travel I had done, I used to think that Uganda has only one twin lake. So there's a guy who posted a picture of a twin crater lake, and people are saying all sorts of things, and people are giving names, saying it's in Fort Portal, it's where, and me in my, you know, in my own little experience, I knew there's only one twin lake and it is in Bunyaruguru, and I said, no, this one is in Bunyaruguru. And then until the guy who took the picture is my friend, he came to my inbox and said, boss, it was.
Cham, I have a Chinyankole saying for you, but I think our listeners may not understand it.
So, you know, then after that experience, I said, no, I can't embarrass myself. I organized the 13-day expedition specifically to discover all the crater lakes in Uganda.
How many?
And I managed to photograph 43 crater lakes in Fort Portal and about 16 in Bunyaruguru. And those are just, I didn't complete all of them, but I was amazed how many people know that there are over 43 crater lakes in Fort Portal. We don't. And many, even me, are shocked. Like, there's actually I think there are about 3 or 4 twin lakes in Fort Portal alone. That Fort Portal area.
I think, Cham, right now you're like John Speak. You discovered the 43 crater lakes.
But of course, I like to say I was the first time to discover them. Those who think I'm lying, let them bring evidence.
Cham, so what next for EDX and CEO magazine? What next?
Of course, for EDX Travel, we just started. I have my 2 partners. We're trying to do some bit of travel. And one thing we discovered is that I think domestic travel is still tricky.
Yes.
Because most Ugandans, of course, for various reasons, including also, you know, any trip experience that goes above 1 million, people start telling you, I can go to Dubai. But number 2, I think it's also understandable because then I can be like, well, if I know the place, I have a car, And most times you'll tell a guy, okay, like this whole package will cost you like 2 million.
Yes.
Then they'll be like, no, I know Solomon who owns that hotel.
Yes.
Now you just get me the car, me I'm going to speak to Solomon, or the other way around. Like I use my car.
Yes.
Because you as a travel guy, you have a discount at the hotel.
Exactly.
Even so, so there's still that challenge. But again, we're still trying to push that. I think the most sustainable bit, what we're trying now to try to position ourselves as well, because initially we were about domestic. And for the reason that when you take more domestic guys, because it's their country, they become excited about it, they talk about it, then the country will benefit. But now we are trying to flip that, because I think almost all the domestic trips we made, they've been loss making. So you can find that you will take a trip of about 80 guys to the islands, they'll have fun 3 days, and you come back, you made a loss. But you just take one or two foreigners around for 3 days, and you come back with a profit of maybe $500.
Yes.
So so we are trying to readjust ourselves. But of course, the foreign market is also has its own unique. It takes time for people to accept you.
Yes.
So we are willing to go slow there. CEO Magazine, I think CEO Magazine, we so far so good. I think where we've grown now is in terms of at least brand recognition.
Yes.
People recognize us. Brand trust, people by and large trust us because we've tried to protect that integrity. But now, of course, the challenge we are facing now is commercialization.
Yes.
Because brand trust and all that does not necessarily feed you.
No,
you have to figure out how to. So we're in that space whereby, okay, one, if you are all online, how do you commercialize? For some reason, it's become like a culture thing, because the first way how Ugandans came into contact with online news, it was free.
Yes.
So now, even all the mainstream media houses whom I must say are guilty for having propagated this whole thing, they're also facing a challenge trying to flip that, to make people feel like, yes, we now need to sell the news. So it's something we are struggling with. But also, I also believe that apart from that, even us as media houses, we need to start producing news that are sellable. Because if you're going to produce a story that is from a press conference that was attended by 40 people, by 40 media houses, then there's no need, because if you put a paywall, I'll go to the next,
Yes.
So that's the biggest challenge we are facing. But I believe the big boys need to lead this conversation. They need to pay all their content, and then people will start getting used. Because now, unlike those days when the payment systems were a bit tricky, Visa cards and all that were not as many, there are no credit cards. Nowadays the payment systems are sorted. You can pay with MTN mobile money, you can pay with Airtel money,
Yes.
you can pay with M-Pesa, all sorts of things. And then the other beauty with online, especially speaking for my media house, is that you have about, like in my case, only 54% of my audience is local, 45% is foreign. Wow. So that gives you a chance to be able to sell, But then also we need some bit of patient capital. Because you see, for you to allow that to grow slowly, before people start getting used, it's at this point to start saying government to young. So I think that's those are some of the issues we're facing, because online advertising, Google took the juice out of that.
Yes.
People no longer place banners, and I don't blame them, because if I wanted to advertise online, I would most likely go through Google. So, and then the cut we get from that is very, very small. So most times we have had to rely on sponsored content. But you see, sponsored content also has its own challenges, because then you reach a point and become like, especially if you're a small media house, people can't differentiate between CEO East Africa Magazine and Charm.
Yes.
So you become like a prisoner of these guys,
Yes.
So if you have a guy who just bought an interview on your media house, and the next day you get a story that it's factual but may not make them happy.
Put
so
him
then,
in good light.
So there's that issue we're trying to deal with. And lastly, I think it's a culture issue, whereby people, traditionally media has been a public good, whereby you exist as an NGO, not for profit. You come, you collect news, go and serve it to the world, and people place adverts. But now, you see, with everybody becoming a media house, people have found out other ways of reaching out to their audiences. People are making more investments in their own media houses, in their own online spaces.
Yes.
So then we no longer get that revenue. So the whole idea that media is a free service needs to be to be taken away because you'll find a guy, he has an event. He's invited 500 people at a hotel. He's paid everybody coming to the event. He's paid the saxophonist. He's paid the sweepers. He's paid the DJs. He's paid the waiters. Everybody at that event has been paid except the media houses. Now, so you have paid guys who are going to play for the 500 people in the newsroom, but for me, who's going to take the conversation outside of there to another 10,000, 200,000 people, you're saying it's supposed to be free.
Yeah.
And this conversation is also being propagated. And that day I was discussing with some PR people saying, you are the guys who go around lying to your bosses that media coverage is free. You need to start telling them the truth. Because you think if you tell them the truth, they will think you are incompetent. No, the industry has moved on. Now media is a paid service.
Yes.
And we can reach that conversation where we say, you will give me, you will pay me for my service. You'll hold me accountable for the numbers I'm going to give you and the impact. And I can give you an objective service. Just the same way you pay an auditor and they still give you an objective service. Yeah, so to me, we need to move the market towards that space. So then I think at that point, we shall break even. Otherwise, there are many media houses who are crying, and the only option they have left, and I mean, everybody is trying to look for ways of how to survive. Those who don't have other, maybe they're not getting the big ticket adverts. They've started doing, the other guys who are doing the blackmailing. There are guys who are doing also. So, but we need to have that honest conversation and tell everybody like, Fenatufa, how can we help each other? Because there are guys who have money, they are willing to pay for the service, but it's their PR person who's telling them, no, media is supposed to be free. You can't pay for it, that kind of thing.
So what I get, Cham, is let's normalize the fact that media is just like food and drinks, and the photographer you hire to take photos for you to keep is a paid service.
Exactly.
Cham, I am still intrigued by the fact that you never studied journalism like some renowned people who are doing media work. You're a social scientist. I'm very passionate about the youth, and I I like to tell them that you need to be open-minded because I think I don't know about our producer here, but both of us, our daily work, we never studied it a day in our lives, never did formal training, all self-taught. What can you say to the younger people at the university who are saying, me, I'm a social scientist, I have to get a job in the NGO. And otherwise, I've not arrived.
I think and I say this, a lot of people come to me looking for any career advice and everything. I always tell people that first thing you need to do as a person, you need to do self-discovery.
Yeah.
And for me, as early as S4, I discovered that I was a writer because I used to write for the school magazine. And I think around my S4 vacation, I attempted to write a novel, but I think my manuscript got somewhere. It was some love story. I think the manuscript disappeared somewhere. So as soon as I finished university, I knew somebody who used to work at the Monitor. I reached out to them, and they're like, you know what, you can start writing. Yeah. I started writing, and they started publishing my stories, and the rest is history. It's history. I believe everybody on this earth is good at something. Yeah. There's that thing that they do so well. And if you can't discover it yourself, there will be those things that your friends say about you. They'll be like, this guy is the life of the party. This guy, if you have an event, maybe he should be the MC. Or if you have this guy is so good at budgeting, like in all the family meetings, you're the guy who keeps money for events, or you're the guy who organizes things. So there's that bit that you do so well. I think to me, if you discover that, then that can help you to be able to get to know. And then the rest is how then do you leverage the available sources. Now there's technology that can help you to do many of these things. And then, so then, and now this goes to the parents. Most times, and I had a very interesting conversation with my child this morning. I'm told he was someone at school because they found him. I think there's a friend of his who was associated with some concert that's going to happen during the holidays. So they found him trying to sell, to distribute flyers in class, and they punished him for doing business at school.
That
But-
sounds like your son.
Yeah,
That
but
sounds
then-
like your child.
But then this same school,
No DNA required.
this same school has a lesson, has a subject on
On
entrepreneurship. I'm like, so instead of correcting this kid and said, okay, we applaud you, you're trying to do practicals, but you're doing them at the wrong time, or maybe outside the school rules, they're just telling them it's a punishment. So even as parents, you find you have this kid maybe who's so good at playing the piano. Instead of encouraging him, you just go and lock away the piano and tell him to go and do his homework on Nyungu ya Mawe and Ngoni migration. I think we need to start encouraging our kids once we identify these talents when they are young. Let's go and you see, we talked about this whole thing of specialization. I want to believe that most of these, like these guys we watch on TV playing football, who go to the football academies when they are 6 years old, football is all they do. So if you're so good at doing the piano, do it so well, and then these other things in life, once you make money, you'll buy them. There's no need for you to try to do 18 subjects and then struggle to find out what. So, like, just as I close, I was saying that if I am a journalist, I am running a media business. Why should I first take my child through the whole university? After then now he comes back, he wants to write stories. Yet he could actually have started writing stories when he was in P7,
yes.
And the website is there. We have equipment,
Exactly.
and so to me, we need to
with 10 years of experience before graduation.
Yeah. And the best way out to do all these things is by doing them. These things of class, those things are all just additional. Because what things did we learn at school that now you can't learn on the internet?
No.
This, we spent the whole time reading about Bantu migration. Maybe we should just get some. We should just get some of these paid actors. They do for us like series on Bantu migration, and they put them on Netflix. So then the whole school can learn.
Actually, Sham, on YouTube you can find all sorts of animated videos about Bantu migration and everything.
Yeah.
Sham, you mentioned something interesting: self-discovery, and you tell the story of your child. And I remember that I was caned when I was young for messing around with a video deck at home.
Yeah.
As in all sorts of things. If anything went wrong regarding the TV and all those gadgety things, I was the number one suspect, even when I never touched it.
But me, I have an interesting story, and probably that's when I knew that was not my calling. I opened my mom's radio, and it was one of the most prized gadgets in our household at the time. Because I remember the time there was a shooting in the neighborhood. My mom ran away with the radio to the banana plantation. That was like the most prized. So for me, I came and opened it looking for, guess what? The magnet, which was on the, because I wanted to take it to school. So indeed, I opened it, got the magnet, but the problem came when having to assemble things back, they failed to fit. And that's why I was caught, and I was not going to be an engineer.
Cham, very good to have you on Studio 84 this morning. It's been an interesting conversation. We can't wait to host you on other times to come. If you love this space as much as I believe you've loved it, we look forward to having deeper conversations.
Yeah.
But right now, this was a trial, a tour here. We'll share a link to this podcast and vodcast, and you'll share it with your people, and then we shall take it from there.
Okay, thanks for hosting me. I hope to come back this time with money, a lot of money to pay for the services.
Cham, let's normalize that these productions will be paid for.
Exactly.
Have a good day, Cham.
Same to you.